on. We're glad to have you here and welcome anyone who's joining us here in the boardroom as well as those joining us virtually. Students, if your parents can't be here and you want to wave at the camera, it's right back there as you go back with your certificate. That's totally great. I had a friend whose son did that and she was like, that's the best. I got a screenshot. I couldn't be there, but I got to see my child being recognized. So don't be afraid to do that if your parents can't be here. Will you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Item 1.3 is approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the agenda is approved. Item 1.4 is receive a presentation from EHS Drama Club. So come on up. Give us your introduction. We're glad to have you here.
There's a lot of us.
Awesome.
My name is Janine Hoskins, and I am the Elko High School drama teacher and drama club advisor. And we, being a new club, wanted to come tonight and share with you a little bit about what we're doing. So the students have done this presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to them. Thanks for letting us be here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lydia Wellman, and I'm the Vice President of the Drama Club. And I'm Rebecca Blanchard. I'm the historian. The other officers currently are Layla Bowers, Rosalind Pardo, and Abigail Harris. There are currently over 60 students involved with the Drama Club at this time. Some of the events this club has participated in and overseen was a homecoming skit about an enchanted forest. It was the first presentation of the Drama Club, and it was very successful. The second showcase of the Drama Club was the Dinner and Oz production, which was the first showcase and fundraiser that we had. We were completely sold out of tickets within the first few weeks. A major help with the playbill, tickets, and more were the graphic design classes ran by Ms. Swimley and Mr. Long. They recently completed all the playbills, tickets, and posters needed for our recent production, Murders in the Air. I will now pass it off to the drama class.
Good evening. My name is Rosalind Pardo, and I am a student in Mrs. Hoskins' drama class. Currently, we are only one combined class of drama 1 and 2 students. However, there has been a drastic increase in interest. So not only will we have separate drama 1 and 2 classes next year, we will also be having a brand new theater tech class.
Hi, I'm Layla Bowers, and I am also in the drama class. I am the president of the drama club, and I play Lois Van Zandt in our upcoming play Murders in the Air. Drama 1 and 2 focuses on the performing aspects of theater, primarily the speaking parts, so projecting and articulation and pronunciation. And we do lots of fun projects and lots of fun games. And we are new. Well, next year we'll be together with the Thespian Society. So yeah, drama class is very, very fun.
Hi, I'm Ali Carrillo. I'm also a student of drama class, and I play Rufus Jones in our next production. The theater tech class focuses on the technical aspects of everything: lighting, props, makeup, dressing. And we, as a drama class, have already gone a little bit and learned the basics of the layout of lights in our theater and the basic type of lights, the basic care for them. But the technical theater class, once we introduce that, we'll have a more deep dive. And when we have our winter showcase, it'll be completely run by the lights, the sound, everything will be completely run by the technical theater class.
And next we have our group for Dinner and Oz.
Thank you.
So Dinner and Oz was the last production we did. My name is Teo Arto, and I played the Scarecrow.
My name is Richard Ferrix. I played your Cowardly Lion.
My name is Emma Catherine Rose Brown, and I played the Wicked Witch of the West.
So, as I'm sure all of you know, our production of Dinner and Oz was very successful. I mean, we had around 250 people attend, and we were totally sold out on tickets. So one of the main purposes of this show was to show all of you, all of Elko, that even with the pandemic, everything else, Elko High School Drama Club is back, and we are ready to perform some excellent shows for all of you. There's no doubt that this production attracted a lot of recognition. I mean, we were featured on the front page of the Elko Daily Free Press. We also got a lot of recognition from within our own school. After that production, the people joining the members of our drama club about doubled. And Dinner in Oz was also a very unique production. It was not just your regular stand up on stage and talk. As the name suggests, it was a dinner theater. Food was actually being served. Also, it was audience interactive. At points, the crew would go up and walk among the audience, interacting that way. And then lastly, our show was a fundraiser for all other endeavors to come forward. So we are very, very grateful to everyone who came together to make this production possible. So without further ado, I pass it on to Richard to talk about the fundraising aspects.
Thank you. As my associate Teo has stated, one of the other primary functions of Dinner in Oz was as a fundraiser. Now, we wanted to use as little money as possible on this as we wished to grow funds. And so we relied primarily on sponsors, such notable members as Maverick Hotel and Casino, of whom we are very grateful. We also appreciate the help of the Elko community for actually purchasing the tickets and showing up to the show. And as a result, it was rather enjoyable, and we gained a substantial amount of funding to not only fund our current production that we're working on now, but future productions as well. Of course, it's not all about the money to make a good production. Sometimes it can also be about the people involved, which is why I now turn you over to our very own Catherine Brown.
Hi. Dinner in Oz wasn't just a production that began a new age of drama club. It was also a production that began a new club welcoming of all people. Dinner in Oz welcomed everyone that it could to act and do crew. Our members are all different in the best possible way. Dinner in Oz helped us all deal with something, whatever that something may be. It allowed us to step into a world where we could pretend we were something else. It was a beautiful distraction from stressful high school life. It's an outlet for everyone in whatever they may be dealing with. And with that, I turn it over to our next group.
Hello, I'm Noelle Cooper, and I play Kathy Collins in our upcoming production, Murders in the Air. I'm Rhiannon Moorline, and I play Lois Von Zant in our new show. Murders in the Air is an interactive play that's ending depends on the audience. It's a murder mystery with many possible killers. The audience chooses their killer via ballot. One thing that is special about Murders in the Air is that there are 2 different casts. We'll be presenting 4 different shows, 2 for each cast. Cast number 1 will be performing Thursday night at 7 and Saturday morning at 11. Cast 2 will be performing Friday night at 7 and Saturday afternoon at 2. Tickets will be sold at the door, $10 for adults and $5 for students. We turn it over to our last group.
Hello, my name is Jalen Atkins, and I play Jordan Starkweather in the play Murders in the Air. And my partner and I are here to tell you about some of the other groups that helped donate their time and materials to help progress our Murders in the Air play. These other patrons include, actors such as Emily Anderson, Hillary Griffin, and Sandy Beeler from Ghostlight Productions, and Dr. John Patrick Rice from the Great Basin College, who all came in to help our performance skills on stage. From their donation of time and guidance, we gained important information and experience. Now I'll turn it to my partner.
Hello, I am Diego Pardo, and I play Rufus in the upcoming production. With the help of Kinross Bald Mountain, we were given the opportunity to work on the sets that we have created safely, and we were also given materials and tools to create a beautiful set that I'm quite proud of. Also giving Drama Club this wonderful experience were the employees who safely overwatched them and made sure that there were no accidents and made sure that they had an enjoyable time and were learning. The employees were Mr. Matt Miller, Ben Rangel, Keith Cunningham, Jill, and Julian Holden. Some other notable people I'd like to mention were Mr. Todd Paget, the teacher of the construction class at the high school, who provided some tools when needed and allowed use of his shop whenever we needed to do certain furnishing, as well as Jeff Howell, Sam Brown, and Dave Vagavello for helping us whenever it was needed.
Thomas Hoskins.
So as you can see, we've been very busy, and we have a lot of plans coming for next year, and we would like to invite you to our show. As the group told you, we open Thursday. So thanks for letting us be here tonight. And I don't know if you have any questions for the kids, but thanks for having us.
All right, well, thank you so much for being here. I'm sure we have at least a couple of questions or comments from the board.
I'd just say I'd love the enthusiasm. I love seeing you all stepping up to the microphone. Nobody's scared. You guys are very articulate. You're doing a great job. I can't wait to see a show. So keep it up.
Anyone else?
Just
Okay.
wanted to echo what Jeff said. Well done. I was not able to see the Oz production. I hope I'll be able to catch this next one, but I've heard good things throughout the community, and keep up the good work and keep up the public speaking skills, because that's something that is very desperately needed in our community and in our societies. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. We just want to give you a round of applause, but first, before that, we'd like you to have a picture taken over by the door before you leave. So kind of gather over there, and we'll have our photographer catch a picture of you before you go. But thank you for being here. Thank you for presenting, and we'd love to see your shows and see you back here again. So thank you. All right, well, while they have their photo taken, we'll go ahead and move on to item 1.5, a presentation from Jackpot FBLA.
Good evening. I'm Tony Teely, and I'm honored to be here tonight. I am the business education instructor and FBLA advisor for Jackpot High School. This is my 10th year in Elko County School District. I have the privilege of introducing two very active FBLA participants who have also been in my business ed classroom for a number of years. Speaking first tonight is Nadia Jack, who is our current Jackpot High School FBLA president. Nadia is also a candidate for Nevada FBLA Eastern Region Vice President. Jackpot High School has never fielded a state officer for FBLA, so we're very proud of Nadia. We also have Michelle Aguilar, a past Jackpot High School FBLA president. Michelle was president of our FBLA chapter for 2 years and attended National Leadership Conference. After these two young ladies speak about their experiences, I have an updated PowerPoint presentation for you to enjoy. Please feel free to ask questions as we proceed. And now I'll turn the time over to Nadia Jack.
Hello, my name is Nadia Jack, and I am a sophomore at Jackpot High School. I have been an active member of FBLA for the last 3 years, and during those years, I have had many amazing opportunities come my way because of FBLA. For instance, I attended the 2021 FBLA Heroic Fall Leadership Conference in Elko. The conference was a great networking opportunity. In addition, last year, I was Jackpot FBLA Vice President, and we attended the Northern Nevada Leadership Conference in Elko. We organized a workshop for the other chapters. Our chapter's workshop was voted best overall workshop. I learned that even a small FBLA chapter could compete and have fun with some of the larger chapters in the state. This past year, I was fortunate enough to be able to take my love for FBLA and use it to be more involved in my chapter by becoming the president of the Jackpot FBLA chapter. Although success started well before this, my involvement at this level and my love for FBLA have encouraged me to go for my dream of becoming a state officer. FBLA has increased my self-confidence and helped me build many important life skills, such as critical thinking, problem-solving skills, responsibility, and leadership. I want to bring my own sense of improved outlook for the future to other chapters as a state officer. And that is why I have decided to run for the office of Nevada FBLA Eastern Region Vice President. I can answer some questions now if you have any.
Okay. Any questions for Nadia?
I'm curious to tell you, if you're elected to that position, what does that do? What extended duties do you have with that?
I'll help connect the chapters in the Eastern region with the state officers by doing chapter visits and emailing state officers and chapter presidents and things like that.
Awesome.
Nadia, I'm assuming you also are competitive at the state level. What was your event this year?
This year, my event was I did an online test and then I have an in-person competitive event, but I
Great.
can't recall the name right now.
I understand. I threw a curveball. No worries at all.
I'll pass the time over to Michelle Aguilar.
Thank you, Nadia.
Thanks, Nadia.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Aguilar, and I am a senior at Jackpot High School. I have been an active member of FBLA and business education student for the last 5 years. I was a chapter officer for 3 of my 5 years as an FBLA member, including 2 years as chapter president. My most memorable experience in FBLA was during my freshman year when we attended the State Business Leadership Conference. I discovered how much fun it is to make friends and network in FBLA, and that the other participants around the state are just everyday kids like me, and they are great to hang out with. FBLA has taught me how to think on my feet and how valuable it is to know how to communicate with other people professionally and personally. One of the ways I learned this was by winning the opportunity to attend the National Leadership Conference for the event called Help Desk. It was a blast, and it reinforced for me how I can learn just by competing in an FBLA competitive event. So now I can answer some questions for you guys if you guys have any.
Well, I'll just start. Great job. And it sounds like you spent a lot of time in leadership positions. What's your plan when you graduate?
My plan is to attend Southwestern Oregon Community College and major in children and family studies.
Nice. Any other questions from the board? Go ahead, Susan.
Why did you choose FBLA? Like you mentioned the love of it, like what got you into it? What got you started?
It got me started by just being curious on what it was and what it stood for. And ever since then, I stuck with it because it's part of who I am and who I am becoming in life.
I'm glad you stuck with it.
Thank you. So now we will present to you our presentation.
Thank you.
So thank you for your time tonight. Whoops. Thank you for your time tonight. Did you have any additional questions for me before we leave?
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming and thank you for bringing your students, and we look forward to hearing if you end up with the state office. So give us a
Thank you.
report, and please, I'm going to just tell every group, go over by the door and have your picture taken. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to item 1.6, recognition of the STEM Fair Grand Prize winners.
Hi, I'm James Brawley. I'm one of the co-directors of the STEM Fair. Recognize some of you guys from the award ceremony. Thank you. So we have two of the top three people here to give their presentations. Delilah Gayton and Siavi Melendez. Yes. All right. So they'll be the top two winners will be going to Atlanta, Georgia, May 8th for a week to the ISEF International STEM Fair. So we look forward to taking them there. And so I'll let them go ahead and get started.
Hi. Hi, I am Delilah Gaitan, and this year I did my, there we go. I did my project on how vitamin B12 affects depressive symptoms in rats. So vitamin B12, if you don't have enough vitamin B12 in your system, it can lead to depression or depressive symptoms. There's even been cases of psychosis because there was not enough B12 in the system. And okay. Okay.
It's on.
So I was wondering how an extra 5 milligrams per kilogram, 5 milligram per kilogram of vitamin B12 would affect rats' depressive symptoms. So I got 6 rats, 6 very lovely rats. I love them all. I never thought I'd actually end up liking rats, but I guess I do now. And I separated them between gender because we don't want rat babies. And and so I separated B12 in little gummies, and I think my main goal here was, while I was like researching testing on rats, because testing on people is kind of hard. While researching testing on rats, I've come to the realization of how harmful it is to them. So typically what's used is a forced swimming test where they put them in a tub of water and see how long they go until they just don't want to swim anymore. They just give up, which is like signs of hopelessness, which is not ethical. And the tail suspension test where they hold them up to their tail and see how long they can go before they like start. Because if you hold a rat up by your tail, they're going to try to resist, go up, and they see how long they could go until they just give up, which is, it's going to hurt the rat hanging them by their tail. So my main goal was here to make ethical testing for depressive symptoms because it's used a lot for medications and stuff. So I used 3 tests: the cookie test, the splash test, and the open field test. And the cookie test, it measures atachynia. So I had a cookie and regular pellets. And if the rats went towards the cookie, then regular pellets, that's a good sign. If they go towards the pellets instead of the cookie, or they don't see much of a difference, it's a sign of atachynia, like they don't find pleasure in the things they used to find pleasurable. And then I did the open field test where I put them in a little box and see where they went. I marked an inner zone and an outer zone. And the ones that went on the outer zone, it was like tested more for anxiety symptoms. And the ones that went on the more inner zone were more exploratory. And that was a good sign that they're doing good. And I did the splash test. This one, it was a test on grooming, because if they're showing depressive symptoms, oftentimes they don't groom themselves as much. You could even see this, their fur's all scruffled up or whatever. So I got a 10% sucrose solution, which is 10% sugar, 90% water. And what this is supposed to do is you put a few splashes of this on their back. And if they groom themselves, it's like a positive sign, like they're doing good. And if they don't, it's not. So I compared these and my answer was, drum roll, it didn't make a difference. So yeah, that was practically it. But but it was really fun. I'm proud of myself. I didn't realize what I got into until like I was done. And I was like, wait, did that just happen? So now I have some lovely rats and I learned a lot about it. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, questions?
How long a period of time was it? Was this something you did every day or just once or?
I did it every day. I did the test on all 6 rats every day, all 3 tests on all 6 rats every day for 8 days. And I had to stop it at day 3 because one of the rats was feeling sick. And I tested all for urinalysis and all of them were kind of sick. I don't know what was going on. There was blood in their urine and for the ones who had vitamin B12 and the ones who didn't have vitamin B12. So that was weird, but I just didn't want to harm them at all. So I just kind of left them alone for a while. And I had to stop that day because I really don't want to take any risks. I want these to be very happy rats.
Would you say they're all happy and healthy now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
So what inspired you to do this project?
I did a project in my health class about vitamins. We picked like a few vitamins and we did a presentation on them. And I was studying, one of the vitamins I chose was B12 because it was on the list. And I saw research in depressive symptoms and vitamin B12. And I just thought that was really interesting. So I just decided to make it on that.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
I just have a comment, like continue with this enthusiasm because you can do wonderful things in the field of research. Just where you're at and how you're describing what you did. Yes, it can turn things around and you can find a lot. So just keep the enthusiasm as you get older. People with enthusiasm people get threatened by it, but keep it, guard it well. And I think you'll do well in science. It's fantastic. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Any more questions?
All right. Good luck.
Well done. Yes, good luck in Atlanta.
So we can clap for you while you.
So I have a board and I have a poster, but it has tape on it. So I have and then I have that, and it also has my board.
Oh, good. Secret Heidi.
Okay, cool. So my name is Diaby Melendez. I'm Paiute and Shoshone, and I live on the Duck Valley Indian Reservation, and I am a junior at Hawaii High School. I am also the 2nd grand prize winner at the STEM fair this year. So my project was the medicinal properties of elderberry and a root that in my tribe we call dozap, but it's also known as fern leaf biscuit root. And in my community and also tribes throughout the Great Basin, we use these medicines because they're just commonly found in our area. So I made tinctures of these and I tested it on lung cancer cells and 3 different bacteria. So I used E. coli, P. fluorescens, and staph epidermis. Yes, staph epidermis. And my hypothesis was that these were gonna like inhibit the growth of bacteria and the cancer cells. Because in our culture, we use it as medicine and traditionally we know it works because we use it as medicine. So with the help of my teachers, I was able to go to Boise State and use a chemistry lab, which was really fun. And I made my tinctures and had trays full of the bacteria and the cancer cells and put different dilutions of the tinctures. And my results were great. So the elderberry did a really good job at inhibiting the growth of the cancer cells, but also E. coli. So that was really cool to see. And the elderberry actually turned all the bacteria and the cancer cells purple, which makes sense because it's a berry and tincture. It's kind of like a juice, but strong because we made it with like vodka. But and then the doza, it also worked, but we had to dilute it so much that it didn't show the kind of results I know it can show, but it did inhibit the growth. It inhibited the growth of everything else the elderberries did, except the elderberries were more effective. But yeah, that was my project. I had to do a lot of Excel work for this project because my trays, there was a lot of little, the little holes that I had to pipette stuff in. So I had to put numbers and do math for every single one because I don't know how to use Excel. But I'm a learn because I have to.
How many different samples would you say there were? Like different spots that you had to test? We're talking hundreds?
Oh, well, the pipette I had to use was like 5.
Yeah.
So it's a 5 pipette thing, and the little trays had like 10. It was a lot. But my results were good, and it was really amazing to see because we know that these medicines work. So I was really proud that I was able to take these traditional medicines and prove their that they can work in a lab. Because we've used these for thousands of years, and it was like, oh, look what I did. But yeah, it was my science project, and I'm very proud of it. And I hope to make it a continuation project, mainly for the DOZA, because I want to show more kind of accurate, like I know it can do more. So yeah, any questions?
All right, I'm just curious if a tincture is the traditional means that you use, or is there a variety of ways that you usually use
that was
those?
another thing that I want to make it a continuation project. So we made a tincture just so we can extract as much of like the medicinal properties as much as we can out of the products. But I want to try it with like the teas and the syrups that we traditionally use and see how well they work on the same things, see if there's a difference. Yeah. Because it's not like we're going to drink a tincture. I mean, I guess you can, but we're not drinking tinctures. More questions?
Other questions?
I have a couple. Can I ask? Am I allowed to ask? All right. Asking for a friend. Where does one just acquire cancer cells? Like, how did you come across these E. coli and cancer cells? Like it, I mean, I have some jokes I want to make about finding these things, but like, yeah, how did you come across that?
Okay, so my science teacher, she's really cool. She's German. I like that because she's German. But anywho, she has she's friends with like a professor at Boise State, and he had like some graduate students who had like some leftover stuff from like their projects. So we went over there and we got to use some of their extra cells and bacteria.
Wow, that's cool. And then like, you seem really passionate about this. Like, do you have aspirations for future to do scientific research and anything in the medical field, like microbiology? What are you interested
I was
in?
actually looking at that this morning because I haven't, so this is my first science project. I did one when I was little. It was like a lava lamp with just like.
It's all right. Yeah, doing all right.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it. But I like science. And I was really proud because when I took my ACT, my science was like my highest score. I was like, I knew that. I knew I was smart in science. But yeah, so I think I want to go into like environmental science or like biology or something. Because when I was there, that was the first time I was ever in a lab like that. And it was like so cool because like everything was so clean, but there was like scary cells in there. Yeah.
How many trips did you make up there?
We had to make 3. So, and Owyhee from Boise is like 3 hours, but I travel a lot, so it didn't feel that long because I slept. But yeah, it was about 3 trips.
Any other questions?
Great job.
Well done, and good luck in Atlanta as well.
Oh yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dia.
Now, I'd just like to recognize Marlia Martins too. She was the grand prize winner from Elko High School, and she did a project on coding for STEM education. So it'll be her and Savi that go to Atlanta with us.
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you
good
for
luck
your
and
work
thank you.
too.
Yes.
Yeah, all of you on the committee.
All right, we will move on to item 1.2, recognition, 1.7, sorry, recognition of our all-state choir selections. I see some choir people. I'm not sure who's standing up to start this. You may stand up and sing. Ty, go ahead, I guess.
So we have our students here who were selected to the Nevada All-State Choir. They went through an audition process and only the top students are selected. We are just getting back to singing after 2 years. It's been 3 years since we've done an in-person All-State, and these students were selected, and we participated just this last week during our spring break. So we have 2 students from Elko, 3 from Wells, come on up, Tess. Dave, Jody, come on up, and 3 from Spring Creek High School. So they were among the 170 students that took the stage Saturday at the Pioneer Center in Reno. And it was a fantastic concert, but it was good to see kids back singing. Our numbers were small, just because getting kids back singing is a challenge. We also had a middle school choir. None of us had any representatives in that choir this year, but we'll get. Oh, you did? Dave did. Mr. Robertson did. We'll get back to normal. We're taking steps. We're getting back. But these are our students that were selected. So.
Well, congratulations. Do you guys want to say anything or do you want to sing for us?
That's a big no.
Don't know if you've practiced a number. I'm sure you've practiced lots of things. Maybe just step up and give us your name and maybe what you love about choir or why you're excited about being selected for All-State or something about that. We're going to put you on the spot if that's okay. You don't have to step up if you don't want to, but I'm confident you guys are good at being up in front of a microphone.
I'm Dallin Bates. I'm a senior at Elko High School. And I mean, it was just, I've been in the All-State Choir for all 4 years, or 2 years, because 2 of those years were not really the most involved. But it's just been a really cool experience. There's just the matter of making music with people it's a very cool experience, and I enjoy it a lot.
All right. Thank you, Dallin. And we do have a certificate for you. So I'm going to come over here. You can shake my hand and then shake everybody's hand. How's that? As you come up, just give us your name and we'll go from there.
I'll let Dallin shake some hands first.
I'm going to just call for this next.
You gotta say something?
I'll say something. My name's Luke Bennett, and I auditioned for All-State because I was like, I want to actually be able to do it this year, because I auditioned and made it my freshman year, which I don't know if you guys remember. There's this little thing called like Corvian 23 or something. It was like a pandemic. I don't remember what it was called. It was a very minor thing, but it kind of ruined everything. And then the next year it was online. My internet connection was so bad that I don't even remember anything of it. Like I was connected for a total of like 7 minutes of the All-State in 2021. And then this year I actually got to do it, and it was very cool. And I didn't have to have an internet connection for it. So amen.
I'll say a thing or two. Hi, I'm Ty Fonger. I'm a senior this year. This is, I would say, technically my second time that I've ever done All-State. I made it my sophomore year, but then the COVID thing happened. And then last year we did it digitally, and it was not exactly the best experience. What's funny about All-State this year is I initially did not want to audition. But you know, I'm not an adult, so I can't make my own decisions. So parental advisory came into play, and I auditioned and I made it, which is weird because I almost tried to fail. That does not leave this room. Oh, shoot. But realizing, looking back now, it was actually a really good experience because after high school, I planned to go and study music education. And so I now realize that this was probably what's best for me. So Mom, You were right.
Wait, what was?
Side note for mom, there is a song from the movie Tangled titled Mother Knows Best. I think you should make him learn it.
My name is Anya Hansen. I'm a sophomore at Spring High School. And the one thing this is my first time ever auditioning for Allstate, and I somehow made it despite all the nerves. And I'd say it was a wonderful experience. I did get tired of a lot of people, but that's okay. And then I'm good. She forced me.
Thank you, whoever said that.
Hi, I'm Trevor Harney from Wells High School, and I'm a senior. I think music kind of started when I was around when I was 5 years old. I had family that used to sing, and they'd always tell me that I should just let myself out, and I decided to join choir my 7th grade year. And ever since that year, it changed my life. And along the way, I've learned that music speaks more when words fail most of the time with me. And I think music is something that actually has grown with me because it's a passion that I really loved. And this is my 4th year doing Allstate, 2 years basically, but I've done 4 years and I got accepted. But after high school, I don't plan on doing music, but I know that music will be with me along the way throughout my journeys and everything, because music will never stop, is what I say. And yeah. So I'm Isaac Carney. I'm a junior at the Wells High School, and I guess I'll start at the beginning. I started choir my 7th grade year. I think the only reason why I joined was just because my brother was in it. I was the most shyest person ever, I guess. And as choir was in my life, I think that is one reason I got into junior high Allstate. I've been 2 years for that, and then this is my first year for high school Allstate, and I think this was the most funnest thing during choir, because it's like you meet new people, you don't know any of them, and you get to know them better. You get to make music with them, and you get to have fun wherever the trip is. So yeah.
So we also had Gideon Slowpower from Spring Creek High School and Ruben Cobian from Wells High School. Thank you. All right, thank you again for, I think, well, I say they were very passionate. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. That was awesome.
Very much so.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As well.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to 1.8, recognition of Fccla national qualifiers.
Hi, I'm Heather Steele. I'm the CTE facilitator, and I was hoping you guys would still be standing so I could say you may be seated. But we're going to make you stand. The students that we are about to present to you are Fccla members. They recently went and competed at the Nevada State competition. The students that you're going to shake hands with today, or the bulk of them, are all national qualifiers. So this by no means indicates all of our students who placed at state. It's just ones who have qualified for nationals. There may be students here that will be able to travel to nationals if the gold team doesn't get to go. Does that make sense? And I'm probably going to be here several board meetings to present this information to you. And I would just like to remind you that these students need assistance in attending nationals. And so when you're doing budget things, watch for that. Shameless plug, right? Is that okay? Yeah, okay. So Teresa, you have a certificate?
Yeah, I've got a
So
stack.
you guys, I will just read your names and your events and you guys can shake hands, everybody. You don't all have to speak. You've already proven that you deserve to be here. And I'll let you off the hook with that. Is that cool? All right. Oh, and you know, is it on? Okay. CTE is in the house today. Did you guys recognize that? Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah. However that works. Ooh. Okay, so first from Elko High School is Hannah Blanchard, and she placed in career investigations. Okay, so now Spring Creek High School. Is anybody here from Spring Creek? I don't think they made it. Yeah, they aren't here tonight, but yep, so we'll just read their names. But first I'd like to recognize Mrs. Demick, who is the FCCLA advisor at Spring Creek High School. It is her first year and she was recognized by the state of Nevada as the new FCCLA advisor of the year. So good job, Mrs. Demick. We appreciate your role. Yep. So Spring Creek High School, Ashton Dutton, Food Innovations. Wait, is this? Oh yeah, SHS. Yep. Lizeth Lara, Food Innovations and Hospitality and Tourism. These are all Spring Creek students. Yep. Suzette Lara, Interpersonal Communications. Nissa Romo, Interpersonal Communications. Corbin Peck, Job Interview. Jaden Martin, Repurpose and Redesign. Megan Basso, Repurpose and Redesign. Oh, Megan, thank you, Teresa, I appreciate that. Okay, so then Carlin. So Sarah Anthony, who is the FCCLA advisor at Carlin, received the Nevada State FCCLA Advisor of the Year. Good job, Sarah. Thank you. And I'll give Sarah the time that she needs. She deserves it. Danielle McKelly, Career Investigations in Carlin. There you go, Danielle. Good job. Lee Isla Taylor, Food Innovations in Carlin. Did I do it right? Quincy Doxey, Interpersonal Communications in Carlin. Garen Graves, Leadership. Good job, Karen. I like trading hands here. Maybe if I did this. Miranda Rainville, Professional Presentations, Carlin. I want to also know Skills USA, and she received a bronze medal in welding sculpture last week. Maritza Perez, Sports Nutrition. Joseph Hartford, sports nutrition. Jordan Vicente, sports nutrition. Good job. Gracie Graves, repurpose and redesign. You're all right. Bea Vicente, repurpose and redesign. Addie Comstock, Nationals programs. Yes, and Wes Wendover should be joining us via Zoom. Maricruz, are you with us? Thanks, sir.
Yes, we're here.
Okay, perfect. Hi. Okay, so these are Fccla students at West Wendover High School. We had some students qualify there for nationals as well. We have Sarah Childress in hospitality, recreation, and tourism. Oh, Edgar, I'm sorry. Edgar Magalanes, interior design. Manuel Ibarra, interior design. America Hernandez, interior design. Daisy Harrow, sports nutrition. And Angela Carrillo, sports nutrition. That's it. I don't want to go. You may be seated. Okay, and I can do it too.
All right, just congratulations again. It's awesome to have you here and hear about your accomplishments. And it's just good luck with everything you've got ahead of you. You guys have a great future. Anybody have any thoughts or things you want to say? Just a big congratulations from all of us. All right. All right, we'll move on to item 1.9, recognition of our STARS recipients.
I think we have Chris by Zoom. There he is. Hello, Chris.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Chris LaPlante was nominated by a colleague who wishes to remain anonymous. So I'm just going to read what this person wrote. Chris was our certified employee, and someone said, I officially nominate Mr. LaPlante to be recognized by the Board of Trustees for the Employee Recognition STARS program because of his longstanding commitment to helping students. He tutors students after school. He works one-on-one with many of the special needs students in his class and goes above and beyond to do whatever he can to help them be successful. He is respectful and supportive to parents and colleagues. One unique trait about Mr. LaPlante is his knowledge of the academic standards. He has them memorized. Considering that he has changed grade levels several times while teaching at West Wendover Elementary School, that is amazing. He is quiet by nature, but always has a smile or witty comment to a colleague in passing. Many teachers look up to him because he is empathetic and inspires them to persevere when they just don't think they can get through another day. One of his students recently called him his personal teacher hero because he helps him to read better and be nice to other students. And we thank you, Mr. LaPlante, for all that you've done and continue to do at West Wendover Elementary School. And I didn't mention, I don't think you teach third grade.
Yes,
Would you
thank
like
you very
to-
much.
Okay. Do you have
Appreciate
any
it.
comments that you'd like to make?
Just very surprised and but pleasantly so. And after 25 years and Elko School District. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaPlante.
Let's give them a hand.
Big thank you.
Susan, can I just chime in one thing? We had a fun experience with going out to West Wendover to present that. Chris obviously didn't know it was happening, but virtually every teacher on campus knew it was, and they were right in the middle of parent-teacher conferences, but everybody took a moment to, almost everybody, well, a lot of teachers anyway, I guess I don't definitively know how many there are there, but many came out to the main lobby to surround him and celebrate him. And he is clearly loved and appreciated by the teachers there. And when we then went to visit West Wendover Middle and West Wendover High School, just because I'm there, so I'm going to say hi to my people. Nobody at either school was surprised that Chris had been named that. So it's not just among his teachers there at his campus, but all over West Wendover. Everyone knows who he is. They know what his ethic is, and they really appreciate him. So just not telling anyone there anything new, but just so everyone else knows, we have amazing teachers like Chris in our district. So good job again, Chris.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And I don't know if you want me to do the other one or wait till,
It's up to you if you want to wait until they're here or.
well, Brandy can't be here tonight, so.
Okay.
Want me to read her?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's read Brandy's.
Our other person was Brandy McInerney out at Liberty Peak Elementary. And once again, she was nominated by a colleague who wishes to remain anonymous. But here's what they said about her. Brandy has been a paraprofessional for Elko County School District for 10 years in various locations, most often working with some of the most challenging children. Not only does she dedicate her time to helping the students she is working with, but she is also an avid team player, role model for all of the other paras in the school. She is constantly training, helping, and making curriculum for many of our other paraprofessionals and their one-on-one students, and is always available to help at the drop of a hat. Her dedication to the special education department goes above and beyond to ensure that every child's needs are being met, and often working through lunches and on her personal time to achieve this. She is the first one to call when you need help, or she often volunteers her time to help other teachers, administration, and students. And we thank her as well.
And I'll just say, I've seen Brandy at work and she is pretty awesome. So great job, Brandy.
Nice.
All right. Anything else on that item? Just congratulations to our STARS recipients. We'll move to item 1.1, input from the public. This is a period devoted to comments by the general public, if any, and discussion of those comments. In the interest of privacy and due process, the public is requested to not raise personnel issues except in a legally noticed closed personnel session of the board. Comments are limited to 3 consecutive minutes. A speaker's time may not be reserved, divided, apportioned, or deferred. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been included specifically on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Is there anyone who wishes to make a comment? All right, I know we have one email comment. Susan, did you want to go ahead and read that one?
Need to wait until.
Well, it's for the next item, so I think we can go ahead and read it.
Got it. Let me set my timer. Okay. Greetings, President Dastrup and trustees. This is Lee Hoffman, and I'm sorry I will not be at your Tuesday meeting. I will be at the Spring Creek Association Candidates Forum. Please consider the following comments and read them into the record at the appropriate time. Regarding agenda item 2.01, approval of superintendent contract. As a citizen and former elected official, I am aware of and concerned about the proper relationship between elected boards and their staffs. I object to the language in paragraphs 9 and 10 of the proposed contract. And he has it quoted below for easy reference. It is well understood that policy, employment, and similar decisions require action by a majority of the board. Nevertheless, individual board members have a responsibility to their public constituents, and the language in paragraph 9 is much too. There may be issues that arise for which the superintendent would not be the first person to be consulted, and our elected representatives must have some discretion when considering their actions. Paragraph 10, as written, inverts the nature of the relationship between the board and the superintendent by allowing the superintendent to call for a personnel session of an individual board member. Recognizing that individual board members have no authority to implement policy, they should not be restricted from seeking information and learning about issues. The board must work collaboratively, but should not be a monolith. There is a problem when all information to all board members comes from a single source and there's no latitude for other options. Thank you for your consideration. Regards, Lee Hoffman.
Thank you, Susan, for reading that. All right, anyone else who wishes to make a comment? All right, we'll move on to item 2.1, receipt, review, and possible approval of the superintendent contract for Clayton Anderson. The contract is attached for anyone who would like to look at that as a draft. And I will just preface this that Ira and Susan and I were appointed to work with CJ on negotiating this contract. And as we met to negotiate this contract, we looked at superintendent salaries nationwide as well as in the state of Nevada. I will tell you, it's a little bit difficult to compare where some districts nationwide have, 500 students and the superintendent gets paid to, watch over 500 students. Some schools in Nevada also have numbers like that. Elko County is a very large district in a lot of respects, both geographically and student-wise. We are not like Clark County or Washoe County, but we are still a very large district in a lot of ways. So we looked at different data to make some determinations on how to approach this contract, and this is what we came up with. So if we have any questions or discussion from the board, we'll start there. Or we can start with a motion and then discuss. Any is fine.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve the superintendent contract for Clayton Anderson as presented here.
All right, thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Now we can open the floor up for discussion.
So for the three that were on the committee, I appreciate your time. Thank you. And Mr. Anderson, thank you very much for having an open dialogue that I'm sure existed as well. To Mr. Hoffman's concerns or at least comments, the language that's in there, is this language that's found in similar contracts? Is this language that has been included in Elko County School District contracts previously? How did this come about and why is it there?
It's been in all contracts I've been involved with. Both paragraphs.
We looked as far back as 2010 and it's been present in every contract. Since then, we decided we probably didn't need to look farther back than 12 years. That felt like enough.
Okay. I appreciate that. And that's in rereading paragraph 9, I'm not seeing where it says that it must be the first person consulted. It just means that promptly consulted. And I personally find the language itself in that fairly easy. We should be notifying the superintendent when there's an issue. And if it's, something that needs to be brought to the attention, you're the person that needs to be dealing with it. So I have no problem with paragraph 9. And I do understand the point behind paragraph 10. However, your job is also to protect the district. And if the board is doing something improper and or illegal, I think needs to be brought to the public. So as an officer of the highest officer, basically of our district, then I can understand why that's there. I do know that it puts a little bit of uncomfortableness on us, but at the same time, we have a responsibility to act faithfully to the Constitution and to the laws. And if we're doing something that we're not doing in that regard, I have no problem with those two paragraphs. Just to address the public comment.
Yeah, thank you. And I concur while you're looking for your other notes. I think those have been in contracts before. And I believe that, we hire a superintendent to do the business of the district and they need to know what's going on. So if something comes up, it's important for board members to refer those things to the superintendent. That does not limit a board member from seeking other information or from asking for further understanding on a topic, but it does keep our superintendent in the loop on what's going on. And I think that's essential as he runs the district and we are oversight. We don't work in the day-to-day. We aren't here every day. And that's not our job. Our job is oversight and policy. Our job is not the day-to-day. So I think it's important that we refer those things to our superintendent. Any other questions, comments, discussion?
I would just add that in my investigation, it's just like I stated, not only in that regard, but in all regards, this contract is consistent with what we've done in the past. There's nothing really that stands out different from anything that this board has done in the past. And that's why and as far as restrictions, I don't feel uncomfortable with any of that language. So that's why I went ahead to make that motion and why I support this contract.
And Jeff, I apologize. I didn't do apparently as much homework and research as you did. So thank you for that. So, and I apologize if somebody else wants to speak, please jump in. This has nothing at all to do with the incumbent or, with Mr. Anderson directly, just the language of the contract itself. Paragraphs 14 and paragraph 16, there's definitely some disparity between what happens if there's an unsatisfactory level of performance and the board feels that the superintendent needs to be replaced versus if the superintendent chooses to resign. There seems to be a lot of weight put on us terminating the agreement, and it's not quite as equal on the other side of termination. That's just a concern that's in there. I certainly think that this agreement, this contract should last for 2 years and hopefully it'll be, continued to be renewed. But that is something that as we move forward, he's already been with us for 6 months. So you're 25% through if we were already on this contract. So good job. But that is something that language wise, I understand with what Jeff had said, that this may be language that has been there traditionally. In the next subsequent contract, that may be something that we need to look at to make, more equal footing, I guess, or at least more buy-in from both parties so that it's not all on us. If the superintendent's not doing their job, we shouldn't necessarily need to pay them out. For somebody to get in the state of Nevada, I understand it's happened before, but when high-placed officials in organizations are paid to leave the organization, I think it just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. There's a risk involved, and I appreciate Mr. Anderson being willing to step up to the plate. The election cycle is a real probability that up to half of the board every 2 years can be replaced. And frankly, this year, 80, I don't want to do the math, 87% of the board could possibly be replaced. So I understand that why it's in here now, but I think we need to look at that a little bit closer next time. Just some comments that I have on that.
And that's exactly why some of it's in there, because potentially this board could be completely different. We're in a unique situation here.
And I appreciate that. And thank you for that, because that is a very unique situation. And yeah, I think that if you continue doing the job that you're doing, there's really no cause. But for this 2 years, I think it's acceptable that as we move forward, that's something that, again, I just want to review. And thank you, Ira, for bringing that up, because that is a real possibility.
So I also had some comments. First of all, again, thank you. I'm sorry that I know it's part of procedure to have this done, but I can't imagine sitting there having everybody talk about what we're going to pay you and what we're not going to pay you. And so I'm just going to put a little informality in there and just say, I feel for you, buddy. So, but I do appreciate all the work you did. I was talking with Ira and he said there was meetings and hours and talk and something about arm wrestling or something. I don't know. So, but
I won the foot race, just so you know.
Yes, yeah. that due diligence had been done, right? So trying to break the tension in here just a little bit. But the big thing is this, is that we do live in weird times, unsettling times. And there are a lot of risks at stake here. The district taking risk with Mr. Anderson, who so far has rose to the occasion, but Mr. Anderson taking risks with current climate within school districts and within Elko County. And so I think that after further consideration and doing some investigation, I do agree with all this. I think that it gives him the tools he needs to succeed at the job. I think that's what we really need to be looking at. Are we giving that so he doesn't have to worry about things at home, or that he doesn't have to worry that there's a rogue board, or that there is not a rogue board, or that the tools are there. It also comes with high expectations, which again, I don't think Mr. Anderson takes lightly. So that's all I got to say about that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? We do have a motion on the floor if we're ready to move forward. The motion is to accept the contract. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and the contract is approved. Item 2, congratulations, Mr. Anderson. All right.
Congratulations.
Item 2.2 is receipt, review, and possible approval of request to apply for FY23 applicable grants.
There, can you hear me?
Yes.
So just any questions? This is an annual process built into our policy. And basically the background goes into it. Sometimes I receive applications and we have to receive board approval, but instead of waiting for the next 2 weeks, it allows me to apply for the district and get funds. So that way we're not missing opportunities. It also allows me just to do the daily duties within that office.
I really appreciate that explanation. And I know there's not a motion. If I may, Madam Chair, sorry, jump ahead and start discussing that. Thank you for that, because frankly, when I read this, I thought this is just bureaucratic garbage. Why are we making you do your job? You're asking permission to do your job. So thank you for clarifying that it's to prevent having to wait that time and to allow you to do your job more expediently. The fact that there are occasions where you do need to have board permission, you now have that yes, the board is there. And frankly, Madam Chair, if I may, I move that we approve the request to apply for fiscal year 2023 applicable grants.
All right. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I do just want to add that I was told this has been customary for decades. Just in the sake of transparency and those that have a hard time searching. So.
And we appreciate that transparency as well. Yes, thank you. I'm anticipating though that grants as they come up, if it's something that needs to be brought before the board, I trust that you and the rest of the staff and the district itself know when we need to have this. But yes, thank you for that.
Yeah, if we apply for any large amounts or new programs, then we usually come to the board. But for like Title I or anything that's just sustaining our current programs, then this is what that applies to.
Great, thank you.
I would just add that after seeing your presentation and what we went through with grants in the last meeting, it's a joy to turn you loose and to say, go get some more. That's
Thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and those are approved. Thank you, Cassie. Item 2.3 is receipt, review, and approval of the tentative budget for FY 22-23 school year. Hi, Julie.
So does it help if I pull it up, or are you good pulling it up on your end?
So I think it's just as easy to see here.
Okay.
It may be
Whatever's easier for you.
And I apologize. It may be helpful to pull it up only so that those that are watching from home might be able to follow a little bit.
Yep. Okay.
if I may, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Not that they
As long
gonna be
as
able to
Max
see
shows
much.
that. Okay.
Oh, is he? Sorry.
That or we have a ghost.
Am I messing him up then with the keyboard? That's good. Thank you. So first, this is, whole purpose of this tentative budget is to present it to the board and the public. So we have a month to make adjustments to this tentative budget, and the final will come back to the board and the public next month. So I'll go over the main changes compared to FY21. Under the new pupil-centered funding plan, so the 21 column is under DSA, 22 and 23 are under pupil-centered funding plan. So we have 3 new funds under that plan: English learner, at risk, and gifted and talented. Oh, thank you. One difference is class size reduction. That fund is budgeted at all zeros because it's now funded in our base funding in the general fund. So all the expenses are now in 2023, they're going to be in the general fund to match the revenue source. In 2022, you know, everything, the state even was still trying to figure everything out. So the expenses are still in class size reduction in 2022, and we'll do a transfer to cover those and zero out that fund. I guess we can start on the first one.
Julie, do you want us to ask questions when you're done or as you go along?
Either way, I can go over kind of where the, can you go up one more? Oh, another one. Thank you. So the grade out pieces that you see throughout the template, the state grade those out, they're phasing out. Sections like page 2 or 3 is mostly on, yeah, that was all DSA information. And since we are not under DSA anymore, they don't need that information. Okay, sorry for speaking. Thank you.
So Julie, just for public understanding, what does DSA stand for? And you've already said the people-centered, but just so that everybody understands if they're listening for the first time.
School allocation approach, yeah. Allocation. So that was different. That was a piece from the state, but we still got all our local revenues. So under pupil-centered funding plan, the local revenues go to the state and they're all reported. So you'll see a decrease in general fund local source and an increase in state. I guess I'll go over kind of the front page. So the first revenue number is state education fund. I only put the pupil-centered fund numbers there. So you can't look at that number and think it's all of our revenues. That's just pupil-centered funding plan. General fund, English learner, at risk, gifted and talented, part of special ed, and part of food service. But that doesn't include our other state source revenues. It doesn't include tuition, federal, or anything. The first expenditure total is all our governmental funds, general fund, all our special revenue, building and sites, and pay as you go. It does not include our internal service funds. Those are the 3 proprietary funds you see. I budgeted the general fund balance with the ending fund balance of about 10% of expenditures. If the fund balance goes up to 16%, we risk the state sweeping our fund balance. I budgeted $1 million in transportation for department transportation department vehicles, that can be 5 buses and maybe a couple small vehicles. If we do 5 buses a year, that puts us in a 16-year cycle to replace our buses every 16 years. And that way, when we lose hold harmless, they'll fund transportation based on a rolling 4-year average. Right now, we're funded based on 2020 expenditures where we didn't buy any buses. So, yeah, so that way, once we get back to our average, they'll see that we need funding for buses. I kind of already touched on this a little bit. The class size reduction is now considered a categorical grant. There's probably about 15, 20 grants that used to be in the state fund grant. They're all in the general fund now. We still have the requirements for class size reduction. We just no longer have to report this many people were paid under with those funds. We just have to report class size. Any questions? Anything in particular to go over?
No, I think I just appreciate that you're differentiating between the old way we were funded and now the new way we're funded, because it's very different.
Yeah, it is very different.
Julie, I appreciate that also. So yes, in addition to that, because it is different and obviously the state using the form that you have to fill in has grayed out a lot of areas. But thank you also for differentiating between the 6 funds on revenue side of 102 million versus the 17 funds on the expenditure side of 148 million, and that why those don't add, because all of a sudden that looks like a really bad deficit. But when we're not looking at all of the resources and all of the revenues, because that's not what the state wants to look at,
Yeah.
it does compare apples to oranges and it makes it difficult. So, so I appreciate you differentiating between that.
It does. Page 3 and 4 are a little easier to tie out your revenues and expenses. So the total resources number would equal the total fund requirements column is the final check.
So Julie, after 12 years of looking at governmental budgets, I have not had one this in-depth. So as much as I like playing with numbers, I did not get all the way through this. And I appreciate that we still have more time to look at this. This is just the tentative budget.
Yeah.
And that the final is not due until May.
Yeah.
So I highly encourage anyone that has questions to reach out as appropriate and ask the questions, because this is a different way of what we've been used to funding.
Yeah.
And frankly, this is what happens when the elected officials that we have for the state represent the entire state, and we have one little representative in our area. So there's not a lot that we can do with this. And I appreciate the work that you and your team went through to try to find the way to match this up with what they're asking you to do.
Thank you.
And this is still a work in progress as far as from the state point of view, because they don't know if what they just did is really going to work, right?
Yeah, so they gave me a tentative 2023 spreadsheet to work off of, and that's what I built the budget based on, but they're still deciding on if they want to make changes and gathering input, and we haven't got much answer on our questions, so I think they're still trying to figure it out themselves.
Do they give you a timeline of when they might have the answers for you?
I don't think so.
I was just
They
curious.
just stared at us at our last meeting.
So we're coming up, how much short with the new plan based on 2020 numbers?
Well, so I budgeted a decrease in ending fund balance about 10 million, which puts us at about 11% of expenditures, which is still within the range that the policy expects. I think that was between 8 and 15%. The pupil-centered funding plan spreadsheet they gave us to work off of estimates a decrease in revenue between 600 and 700,000 just for those. And we're still trying to figure out if that's accurate or not. So I think we'll need to get a year in and see how things lay out.
Julie, with that $10 million decrease in ending fund balance, leaving approximately $10 million ending fund balance for fiscal 23. Obviously, we can't repeat that for fiscal 24, but we also have expenditures in 23 that we've received revenues for in 22 and before, including COVID monies, et cetera, correct?
Well, the revenues hopefully are done this year. So that would offset already incurred expenses. Hopefully in 2023, we're
trying to
that's
recoup
out of our
money,
budget.
not spend money that we already have, or not spend expenses that we already have money for. Is that correct?
I think about your question, I think I'm a little confused. We shouldn't be waiting on FY23 revenues for current expenditures. Right now, we're balanced out based on FY22.
Yeah.
Correct. So I apologize. I guess what I'm saying is if we just drew down $10 million, how are we not going to draw down $10 million next year? I'm assuming that the $10 million that we're drawing down is still recouping some of the expenses that we've had that we're rolling forward on that we're not going to see, hopefully, unless there's another pandemic. But I guess basically, how do we find $10 million? Or is it just $10 million in expenses that we're not expecting to repeat next year or in the future?
No, I think those kind of expenses are done. So we're going to have to draw the line of not accumulating a fund balance that the state will sweep and not cutting, still not going deficit. So maybe one year we'll have to skip the buses or we might have to crunch the budget.
Okay, thank you. So Madam Chair, if I may, on the other public board that I currently happen to be sitting on, we have traditionally approved the tentative budget. This year, we elected not to approve the tentative budget because there were some pretty major concerns that we don't have necessarily here. And it was discovered we don't need to approve a tentative budget. Julie has the responsibility and the authority to submit. She's done the due diligence of putting it before the public, of having the hearing, of giving us the opportunity to move forward. And I'm just throwing it out there that my understanding is an approval is not needed for the tentative. It's not required until we get to the final budget. So that is why I'm not making a motion, but I'm happy to defer to the rest of the board.
Thank you, Matt. Before we proceed any further, does anybody have any other questions or comments? Or Julie, do you have other things to point out as we go further?
There's a lot to go over, so I think it's better, if anyone has questions, I'd be happy to sit down and go over it.
And I appreciate the 90 minutes that you sat down with me today. So thank you.
No problem.
Just to summarize, this tentative budget gets us, as you mentioned, within the policy requirements for our
the fund
ending
balance.
fund balance,
I
so that
think
we're
so,
not
yeah.
get swept. So we're in a good position
Mhm.
moving forward based on the numbers that we've been given by the state thus far.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did budget an increase in the health insurance fund, which I'll bring back to you later.
All right, and Julie, just for anybody who's listening to this for the first time, as far as a budget goes, can you explain the 16%? Because I know we have heard it. I know a lot of people that are familiar with this understand the 16%, but could you cover that in a little more detail so people understand what that means?
Yeah, they're still trying to figure out what that would look like. I've called a few other school districts and everybody interprets it a little different. And there's two contradicting authoritative can't think of the word right now, but it depends which one you read and how you interpret it. So I think I've gone through it and I think we'll be at about 11%. But if we get over 16.6%, the state decides, okay, I guess we paid you too much and they'll take it back. So I asked for clarification on, okay, what if we have a curriculum purchase of 2 million next year? Can we designate that and save that? And they didn't have an answer for us yet. So, but I think we're okay because we're not at the 16% right now.
Because I know a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just put money aside for a rainy day? And we have a cap. We can't go above that 16, or the state just says, this is ours. So I think that's important for people to understand, because when you're doing your personal finances, you want to be able to say, hey, I want to put money aside and have that to use if there's an emergency. And we have a limit as school districts on what we can do and how much we can.
It sounds like a lot, but it's less than a month of expenses. It goes quick.
Yeah, thank you. That was one of the things I wanted people to hear and understand.
And if they sweep that and put it back in, does it go back into the pupil-centered funding plan, or does it just go to the state for whatever they feel like using it for?
It goes back into that education fund, which is where they pay the pupil-centered funding plan. And then they decide how to allocate it.
And thank you, yes, for that clarification as well, because, to expand on Teresa's point, we, as personal fiscal stewards of our own resources, have our own ways of saving, but this is only allowing us to save 2 months. And I think many households would recognize that 2 months of expenses goes by real quick. So there are large dollar figures here, but it's 16.67% is 2 months. That's why they've picked that number. They don't want us saving more than 2 months, and that's a lot can happen in 2 months, as we saw in March of 2020.
I guess they don't like Susie Orman way of, you're supposed to have 6 months of your expenses cushion. And
Apparently
even
not.
during COVID, it was supposed to be longer. So I guess not.
That was 14 days.
All right, any other questions from the board?
Thank you. And thanks for answering my questions earlier too.
Oh, no problem.
All right, and I guess we'll just reiterate, if you have questions or concerns, talk to Julie, and she'll be bringing this back in a month, but we can bring it back next board meeting if we need to, if there are any other big questions or things the board would like to discuss. All right, I don't see anyone else hopping up. So Julie, thank you. We'll just go ahead and move on unless somebody really wants to make a motion. We're just going to move on to item 2.4, discussion and possible action. Declaring all substitute teacher, substitute paraeducator, substitute maintenance custodian, substitute bus driver, substitute bus aides. This is a long one. Substitute food service, substitute secretaries, substitute health aides, and substitute nurse positions as critical need positions retroactive to the 2020, 2021, and 21-22 school years. August 1st, 2020 to July 31st, 2022. All right, Mr. Walls.
I can start, and I'll probably defer to Julie when we get further into the details of it. As you know, the 2021 school year and the 21-22 school year, we had an unprecedented level of teacher absences, well, all staff absences, coupled with a reduction in the number of people willing to substitute for us. And a good chunk, especially on the teaching side, a good chunk of our substitute teacher pool is our own retired teachers who are currently collecting their PERS benefit. And when you're collecting a PERS benefit, there's a certain number of days that you can work for a PERS entity before it starts impacting your PERS benefit. And generally, we don't have to worry too much about that. But we were notified by PERS that we did have some of those subs who in 2021 and possibly in 21-22, some of those numbers are still being looked at, that have exceeded that number of days where they could possibly be asked to give back the money we paid them to sub for us. In 2021, when we were having catastrophic issues with filling classrooms with especially good subs. And I guess I would consider our retired teachers to be some of our best substitute teachers. So as a result, PERS provided us with the application that you see before you in this agenda item to be able to exempt those times from happening. And it is a 2-year application. That's why you see it for 2021 and 21-22. We're hopeful that going into next school year that things are a little bit more back to normal, and they've turned much closer back to normal over the past couple of months with our levels of substitutes that we need every day. There's still some bad days, and there's still some of our job descriptions, areas where we struggle every day. But it's nothing like it was a year ago, and really nothing like it was 4 months ago. So that's why we chose to write that application for 2021 and 21-22, rather than, for example, 21-22 and 22-23. We had the issue in 2021 and it was brought to our attention, and we don't want those people to suffer financially because they were doing us a favor by working for us and continuing to supervise our classrooms and take care of our kids. So that's a real quick explanation. If you have any questions about the application, Julie was actually responsible for the application. She might be able to help a little bit more with that. But if there's any other questions, I can answer as far as the justification, the reason for what we did.
Is there any downside to doing this? No.
Nope, doesn't cost us anything.
Doesn't cost us anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope.
So if I may expand on that, because this is one that I really was trying to review a lot, and I appreciate the amount of time that I had with Mr. Anderson and with Ms. Davis. Not only does it not cost Elko County, it doesn't cost the state of Nevada. And so really there's zero cost to this. And that's very good to hear, because I just cringe every time I hear retroactive. And that's where I really started going down that road of, all right, what are we doing? So I appreciate that explanation. So yeah, Jeff, my understanding is it doesn't cost the school district, it doesn't cost the state for the retirement side. It's just simply saying we needed these people. And to that regard, how quickly will we know that we need to do this in the future if, Lord forbid, something else happens? I mean, typically, do we know that teachers can sub for 3 months, 6 months? I guess at what point do we need to say, hey guys, we've been subbing now for 18 days?
Honestly, my experience, and anybody in there, administrators who have experience here can correct me or jump in. But in my experience, unless we hire a retired teacher to be a long-term sub, say for maternity leave, for a leave where they're coming in every day for 3 months, if they're just a sub and they pick up jobs when they want to, we generally don't have this issue. So generally speaking, we know that going in, because sometimes those retired teachers are the ones we want for the long-term gigs too. But we know that going in, when we grab a retired teacher as a substitute for one of those long-term jobs, that we can plan ahead, not just us, but cooperatively with that sub to plan out the number of days that they're going to be able to sub that year. But those are kind of few and far between, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you as a principal, long-term absences at my schools were a couple a year.
Okay. I believe, and Julie, thank you for putting this together. It makes sense with what's in here. If I recall correctly, there were 5,370 absences. Obviously, we know why that was. And I appreciate also that you broke down by quarter roughly.
And those numbers are just unfilled absences. Those don't take into account the absences that we were able to cover.
With the subs that this impacts.
Some of them, yeah.
Right.
Not every sub who was in a classroom meets the criteria of being a PERS benefited employee.
Okay. as a board, I think we just need to be aware that if all of a sudden we start seeing shortages, we need to make sure that I'm sure by this point, Mr. Anderson would have brought it to our attention, but we need to try to prevent this from going retroactive in the future. And we can take the corrective action that we need to be proactive. So I appreciate again that the questions that I had answered. And I think your explanation at the beginning answered a good portion of them. So I don't need to rehash any of them really. So with that said, Madam Chair, I'm happy to make a motion and let's find a clean way of doing this. I move that we declare
Matt, I'm
the
gonna
positions.
interrupt you just for a sec, just for one clarification. I just was thinking about that as you were making that explanation. I just want to make sure everybody understands that, PERS sent us the application to do this. So it is perfectly okay with PERS and with Department of Ed for us to approve this retroactively.
Thank you, because yes, this is a PERS document. PERS did send it our way. So this is not something that we've just created. So when I, Julie, thank you for filling out the form that was provided to you by PERS because they know these things happen. So Madam Chair, I'd like to move that we declare the positions listed under item 2.04 as critical need positions retroactive for the 2020, 2021, and 2021, 2022 school years.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I'll just say I'm grateful we have those, teachers and substitute bus drivers and everything else that are willing to come back, because I've heard other districts that their kids can't get to places because they don't have bus drivers, or, they're combining a whole bunch of classes. And I know we had to really crunch, and we still do, but I'm grateful we have those retired employees that are willing to come back.
For sure.
So, all right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and that motion carries. Item 2.5 is discussion and possible approval to start moving the district bank accounts from Wells Fargo to Nevada State Bank. Welcome back, Julie.
Thank you. So it all started when we were looking around for a new credit card program, and we picked Nevada State Bank. So I figured, why not get a proposal from them on the rest of our bank accounts and see where that leads. And it sounds like it'll save us money in the sense we'll earn more interest. The fees are less. It's easier the way they laid out our accounts. I won't have to keep an eye on what's in the checking and what's in the savings. The least in the checking means you're earning more interest, but you're also close. Under Nevada State Bank, it'll sweep, so I won't have to keep an eye on where the money is. It'll all earn interest, and it'll only take out what needs to clear. So it'll maximize our interest earnings. So I put the fee schedule and everything in there. If you have any questions.
All right, any questions for Julie? Or just congratulations for finding a way to save our district money?
Well, I have a question. Do you go to sleep at night, or do you just dream of this all night?
Well, this last week I haven't much, but it's fine.
Oh, wow.
But I think just working with the banks and switching Nevada State Bank, we'll have a branch in Spring Creek. We'll have a branch in Wendover. We'll have a branch in Wells. They can do their own deposits and don't have to truck it into Elko. So it seems, and right now we have one branch where all the deposits come here. Jackpot has to take theirs to Twin at the moment, so they'll just bring it to Elko instead.
I have a crazy question. Have they said what level account we are? We're like their top tier level, maybe like a mid-level account, or have they let that slip at all?
No, I don't know. It's a commercial account.
No, I just meant that, because we're a pretty big organization.
Oh, I'm sure it's a big one for them. Yeah. But when I ask questions about the type of transactions they process, they always know what I'm talking about. So they they handle our kinds of transactions already.
And then because we're doing those locally, those people locally have jobs that are working locally and the money is staying locally. So there's a lot of local stuff going on.
Yeah, I have a lot of contacts local.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And with the price of fuel, you're saving everyone money from driving to Elko to bring things because they've got a branch locally for a lot of our schools. So
Yeah.
you're being conservative on showing how much you're saving the district. So that's great. Any other questions before we entertain a motion?
There is no downside to this.
I like the no-brainers tonight.
Right,
There's a
yeah.
few of them there.
I move to approve the move to Nevada State Bank. Move the accounts from Wells Fargo to Nevada State Bank.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
If we can just clarify briefly, this motion will allow her to move the accounts as she sees fit, correct? Because I know that in here you had said you wanted to start with one account, but I just want to make sure that if this takes a while to get things cleared, is that acceptable? You're going to need time to do this, correct?
I request approval to start moving them all, but there's a lot to move over. So I'll start with the ones that, aren't processing paychecks and,
Thank you for keeping our employees paid.
Yeah. So like our general fund is linked to multiple revenue sources, automated debits and credits, my school bucks and everything. Our accounting system, our checks need updated. So it's going to take a while. But if we can start with the smaller accounts first, like student activity, it's checks. And that's it. So it'll be easier to move over.
Kind of envision it like a transition over the summer.
Yeah.
When it slows. Yeah. Perfect.
Well, summer for us isn't slow. That's audit season.
Yeah, it's getting set up for the next.
Yeah.
There are fewer transactions in student activity accounts over the summer.
Yeah, that's true. They're not here to spend the money. So that's a good time to move it over.
All right. Well, it sounds like with the motion as stated, it's start moving. That gives Julie discretion and time to be able to move things as you're ready.
Thank you.
All right. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and that motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Julie. Item 2.6 is receipt, review, and possible approval of a resolution to appoint ECSD Director of Special Services as designee for all purposes referenced in NRS 388.501.3. All right. Ray, you going to handle this one?
All right, there's the on button. All right, so I'm sure you guys all had a chance to review the documents that were there. So NRS 388.501 deals with when there's instances of physical restraint that are required. It was noticed that in section 3 there's the opportunity to appoint a designee to do all the things that are required there. To the best that I can tell, it looks like this was last revised back in 2009 when that language was added. And I think it was just something that maybe kind of just got overlooked because as you read through there, you can see there's some pretty short timelines. Within one working day, the report has to be done, has to be submitted. With you guys getting together only every 2 weeks, obviously that makes it a little bit problematic. So just to be entirely frank, the reality is most of this work has been done by me or whoever's been in this position since that time anyway. But so the idea here is just to officially give you the opportunity, should you so choose, to make that appointment to me as the designee to accomplish these things. And it would not be something that would come to the consent agenda.
Mm-hmm. All right, any questions from the board?
No questions, but I just want to say thank you because this is something that I know that I had asked about. The consent agenda, oftentimes the public doesn't see everything on there because of privacy issues. I didn't understand why we kept getting things. And so thank you for, again, I'm going to use that term again, bureaucratic garbage. Thank you for cleaning that up. This is, again, a no-brainer for me. You guys are here. You guys know what you're doing. And I appreciate that you guys understand the purpose behind that. And every time I kept reading them, I'm just thinking, I don't want to say what I'm thinking. So again, thank you. Thank you for cleaning things up. Thank you for making it so that we can concentrate on what we need to concentrate on with the positive growth of our students. and for taking this off of the things we need to review. So if it's not already clear, I wholeheartedly endorse this.
All right, any other discussion, or would you like to, someone like to make a motion?
Happy to move that we approve the resolution to appoint Elko County School District Director of Special Services as the designee for all purposes referenced in Nevada Revised Statute 388.501.3.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, if not, we shall proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the motion carries. Item 2.7 is receipt, review, and possible approval of recommended revisions to policy BBB. Bravo, bravo, bravo. For anyone who wants to know. All right. Anyone want to tackle this one? Mr. Anderson?
That one's going to be me. So when we were looking back at, when we were looking at the redistricting item, someone, I believe it was, I think it may have been Matt. It's going to shock you that Matt noticed something. But Matt found that so this was originally adopted back in August of 2008 and hadn't been amended since then. And essentially what this does is this policy lays out, it's just a description of how the Board of Trustees is constituted, the election cycles, the naming of the different districts. Anyway, the major discrepancy that was noticed was that the dates that each district representative would be reelected was not consistent with what the county had for when those district representatives would be reelected. So the county is right when it comes to when people get elected. And we just there was some error in there, and I was in Texas when that one was written, so I'm not sure how that got established or where it got messed up, but we just wanted to make sure that was correct. So while we were getting that correct, our lawyer went through and updated the dates and added a few, just did a couple little edits to make it cleaner and a little more official. And so nothing has drastically changed other than an error on our part and some dates. So maybe 14 more years down the line, we'll update the dates again.
All right. Any questions from the board on this one?
Well, that just brought me to a question is that we are listing dates here. I was just curious why we didn't list it as like a midterms or so on, so that it didn't have to be updated.
So actually, if I may, on this one, the dates themselves are the elections themselves on the general. So no primaries are going to be in there. And as far as the midterms, every 2 years, at least 3 seats will come up for election. And so that rotation will continue. I would agree with Mr. Anderson's assessment that somewhere in the past, either it was written incorrectly on one district or during a vacancy in the seat, instead of being a 2-year election like some of us are seeing this year, it was inadvertently or incorrectly put in as a 4-year election. So it just changed that cycle, and the county clerk is the authority on that. And so this puts our policy back in line with what the county clerk's election cycle is. I don't know if that answered Jeff, but does that help a little bit?
Well,
And I think
really what I was asking. I'm just saying, why aren't we putting it specifically or as a rolling, instead of a static date, have a dynamic, just saying every other year or some language of that. Just a curiosity.
It does say every 4 years thereafter. So I think someone would just have to add 4 to 22 and determine that's 26.
So we have a start and then after.
Yes, that was the clarification I was going to give, is that every 4 years thereafter from that start date is how that's clarified, so that we don't have to come back in and adjust it.
And obviously, in the event of a resignation or something like that, obviously we can't predict those, and so should that ever happen, then obviously there could be a time when someone's going in for 2 or whatever. But this is assuming just a wonderful transition every single time around, which is my optimistic hope.
we applaud your optimism and
Thanks.
hope for the same. Any other discussion on this item, or would we like to move forward?
I move to approve the revisions to policy BBB.
I second it.
All right, thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and policy BBB is approved and updated. Item 2.8 is appointment of school board members to attend the 2022 high school graduation ceremonies in the district.
I'm just gonna put out first, I will be at the EHS one no matter what, so.
Dibs on Wendover.
All right, here we go. Let's start. Josh, Elko.
Faux show.
All right, and I will be attending Spring Creeks because as Josh has a senior, I also have a senior, so I know I will be at Spring Creeks regardless.
Madam Chair, I may not be available on the 10th, so that gives me the 9th and the 17th. I'm happy to take Battleborn Youth Challenge on the 17th, and preference would be Carlin on the 9th. However, if we need a representative in Jackpot, I'm happy to make the trip.
All right, do we have any other volunteers for particular graduations?
I would add Wells on the 10th for myself.
I'll just go wherever you send me.
What's left?
All right, well, we've got Josh at Elko, myself at Spring Creek, Matt at Battleborn. We've got Jeff at West Wendover and Wells. And Matt also volunteered for Carlin, but that leaves us, okay, we need Jackpot and the Virtual Academy and Owyhee. Okay, Ira, you got Owyhee.
And I'll go to Jackpot.
Okay, Susan to Jackpot.
I can do
Okay.
the adult or the virtual academy too, if you want.
Okay, I do have a question. Do we usually have the adult high school graduation? Is that one? I don't see it on here. All right, well, let's make sure we assign someone to that one as well. Just let's go through the rest of these, and then Keith, if you can give us a date and time on that one. All right, so Susan, you said you'd also like to do the virtual academy?
Sure.
Okay, and did I have someone say Jackpot? Any
I did.
Jackpot?
I put that.
Okay, hold on. Oh, whoops, I wrote Jackpot down twice. That's why. You only have to go once. Jackpot's graduation is a lot of fun, really personal. All right. So it looks like we just need one for the adult.
When is it?
That's Keith. Keith is looking up the date on that one. Okay. All right.
If it's on a different date, the 9th or 10th, I'd be happy to attend.
All right. And just so that everyone knows, it's fine for 2 board members to attend the same graduation if available. It's just nice to let the school know if there will be more than 1 board member, so they have a chair and, can welcome both board members. So if anyone else would like to attend more than the one they have got, speak now or.
Just, yeah, if I can just put a procedure in place for that, if you do plan on attending another one that you have not officially been designated for, if you'll just send an email to Keith and I, and we will make sure to notify the school so they can make that accommodation, and I'm sure they'll be happy to have you there.
Yeah.
I'll also, I don't know which ones I'll be going to, but I will certainly be trying to attend as many of these as well, so.
Like, especially if you're gonna get second. Be there. Or let the principal.
Yes. You can go be a spectator. Let me know if you want to sit on stage. That's good clarification.
There you go.
Keith.
Are the duties just to be on stage?
Smile and wave,
shake?
boys.
I just want to know what to prepare for. Like,
Go
I'm
ahead,
not,
Keith. Keith can speak to that one.
So normally you'll be handing the diplomas to the kids, and some schools do it a little bit differently. But they're at every graduation, the formality part of it is that at some point, the principal acknowledges to the attending board member that all of these students have met graduation requirements as required by the state of Nevada and Elko County School District, and they present, not the kids themselves, but they present the graduates to the board member.
Okay.
But all the school districts have some sort of duty for you. A lot of them, it is handing the kids or shaking diplomas or shaking hands, but they'll have some sort of job for you while you're up there.
So find out ahead of time.
Yep, you're not just the eye candy.
I'm definitely not that. Okay.
All right, well, it looks like we've got those covered. And again, if you plan to attend more than one, please let the district know so that we can have everything organized. All right, anything else on that item before we move on to their consent agenda?
Madam Chair, just to make sure we don't get ourselves in a bind, I'd like to recommend that you appoint one of us to the adult graduation when we get there.
Okay. Well, I was,
All right.
I was gonna say, maybe we can revisit the adult education after we do the consent agenda. How does that sound? We'll just, is anyone opposed to taking our agenda slightly out of order?
I think that's a great idea.
All right, that way we can go ahead and move on to the consent agenda and then we'll come back to that. All right. Item 3.1 is our consent agenda. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. And do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the consent agenda is approved. All right, Cassie, if you got it. Okay. Okay. Okay, then maybe at the next board meeting, we can discuss that and we'll get somebody there for sure. All right, so Cassie, let's put that on the agenda for the next board meeting to make sure we get someone to that as well. All right, item 4.1 is a report from our NASB director.
All right. Report is similar to the last one. Just a reminder about the training on Saturday, April 30th. There's a trustee training experience. It's going to be covering a couple of things, laws that impact policy, and also getting to know competency-based learning for perspective on policy. They'll have a couple of presenters there. That's going to be in Reno. And details, also look for that email that came out, Cassie forwarded with the NASB newsletter. Also, they did have, as far as board members, there was another emergency meeting. Although I guess they have to call it emergency, but it was just a impromptu, hey, we need permission to go ahead. I was not able to attend, but I did look into it, and it was based on just picking who we were hiring for a headhunter service to help us find a new executive director. That search is still out there. So just a reminder, like I say, if you know of anybody that would be a good fit in helping, we can get that information in. But they did decide to go with Pete. I forget the last name, but he's somebody that has helped in the past with the headhunting, is familiar with the process. So that was basically the content of that last meeting. So, but looking forward to that training session coming up. I will be attending that. And there's a board meeting the day before also on the 29th. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions or guidance?
So you'll bring back that information to us?
As far as on the training,
Uh-huh.
I believe it's open to anybody that wants to attend. there,
Well,
so
what I was thinking, could you
certainly.
just bring back what you learn? is what
Yeah,
I
and
was
if
saying.
anybody's unable, in fact, I'll do that within my, during this agenda item in a future meeting. I can go over that for sure. If anybody's not able to attend, well, I'll give a good synopsis of the event and share any materials that are provided to me.
Would you also bring up possible Zooms instead of driving to Reno for?
Absolutely.
Not that it's a short training, but you know, the expense of driving anymore and then having to stay overnight and then coming back for
It
6
does seem like
hours.
a lot, yeah, for a 9 to 2.
Because I emailed the secretary,
Mhm.
is that, and she never responded. I asked, is it possible to have it by Zoom? I know it's late notice, but I never got any reply at
What I'm
all.
thinking, worst case, if you weren't, unless there's any objection on their part, I'd be happy to set up a stream or something like that.
I'm fine this time with,
yeah.
you know, because I don't want you to.
But
have
in
to-
looking at the subject matter, yeah, it is a quick one. So yeah, if you, we will have a representative there and myself. Again, I will be going for the meeting the day before.
Okay.
So, you know, we'll get some coverage on that.
Great, thanks.
All right, we'll move on to item 4.2, items from board members.
Just Mike's fault.
Turn off Matt's mic. Turn off.
I'll start, sure. You know, I just want to go back to all these kids that came in here today and in previous meetings. What an amazing group of unique and just wonderful individuals that are out there pursuing all their different dreams. And they just, especially tonight, everybody seems so happy, so together and so enthusiastic about what they're doing. And it makes what I'm doing up here just feel that much more worthwhile, all the time and effort that we put in towards that to make sure that these guys have these opportunities. And it's something we talked about before, but I know we talked about, but I really want to pursue with as many of these kids in these different competitions that qualify for state or regional or national stuff, whatever we can do to support them and help them, either with the district or with getting together with fundraisers and helping with the community, any of that stuff. I really would like to encourage that, you know, we get going and these kids get the opportunity to pursue everything, because like I say, seeing those faces light up and seeing these kids here just happy with what they're doing, it makes me happy. So that's all I have.
Thank you. And I think it's a great reminder that we're here for kids, not for political reasons.
Right.
Absolutely.
We're all about kids. So it's awesome to have them in the boardroom. All right. Other items from board members.
Okay. Yeah,
There you go. Go down the
Sure,
line.
why not?
Go ahead.
Yeah, that sounds good. There you go. There you go. Well, the least amount of time, right? I want to echo what Jeff said. I'm amazed at this. I was nerding out as a science nerd, and I went out of town with my team, went to Scottsdale. We roughed it out. It's 80-degree weather while you guys were all suffering back here. So sorry. But there was a PhD neuroimmunologist up there, and he's trying to talk to my team about the consciousness and the research he's done with vibrations and basically string theory. And I'm like nerding out, like just sitting here, eyes wide open. And I look over and 3 of the 5 people we brought are asleep. And so, but what was cool is we come here and then we see these young scientists do these amazing pieces of work at that level. And it just, again, it fills my heart, fills me up, because we're doing what we need to do for these students. We need to make sure that they have the opportunity, that they're exposed to these things. That young lady that did it, she did it out of Hawaii and went and found a way. That was a great question, by the way, Mr. Anderson, was how did you find those cells? I don't know. I have a pretty good business, and I don't know how to find those cells. I'm in healthcare. Granted, I'm not in in the business of finding them, but so it's pretty awesome. That leads me to kind of plug another opportunity for our kids, the juniors at Elko High School. I've been told there's not a whole lot of them looking at RILA, which is a Rotary program. My daughter actually did RILA, so this is kind of a shameless plug, sorry. My daughter did it last year, and then I was in Rotary for quite a bit. Not a single student has ever said anything less than it's life-changing. So I would encourage juniors, yes, there is an application. Yes, you'll have to answer questions. It will be worth every second. So I'm just going to put that out there. And that's all I got.
All right. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask if you had any luck applying the grant about the USDA funding that Meat Science Lab. If you need me to dig into more, when I called you the other day,
I do remember the conversation, and no action has been taken on that since then. But this is an awesome reminder that I'm supposed to talk to Cassie about that. I am admitting that I forgot something. The more information you can provide, though, the less digging we have to do. So yeah, if you have a link to something, or even if it's a news article that you read somewhere, and maybe Cassie already knows all about it already. I don't know. Okay. She loves to
involved in the same thing.
do grants.
Bigger levels, so
okay,
I can dig into it more.
All right.
It can be a sister branch or something,
Mm-hmm.
our school lab. All right, well, I will go ahead and just say it's been fun to freeze and fry at some of the different track meets I've attended. Love to participate and watch some of our athletes that are competitive at a huge level, that are, headed off to college. And doesn't matter where we go, we have athletes that win first. And then we also have athletes that are out there and they've never done this before, and they're learning something new and they're enjoying it, or they're learning they don't enjoy it and they want to try another event. But it's just so fun to watch our kids compete and do so on a big stage, and also just do so because it's something new for them and an adventure for them. Also, just having the drama club from Elko High School come in was a lot of fun. And I had a Dr. Price from Spring Creek Middle School reach out and say, could you please invite people to our production of Moana, which is tomorrow, Thursday and Friday at 6:30 at Spring Creek Middle School. Dr. Price does an amazing job. If you've never seen one of her productions, you will be impressed. You will be very impressed. When they did Frozen, they had a costume change on stage. The part where Elsa, in the cartoon changes, that happened on stage and it was phenomenal. I mean, it was like a professional cast. So if you have a chance, go out to Spring Creek Middle School and support their program. Also, just because I love science, I love all things education, but I also really love track. Anyone who has a preschool through 8th grade student who would like to participate in a track and field camp. I've never seen one here, and Spring Creek High School is doing one Monday, April 18th through Wednesday, the 20th. There will be 2 days of training, and Wednesday, the 20th, there will be a track meet for those kids. So anyway, like I say, pre-K up to 8th grade, just contact Spring Creek High School. That'll be a great opportunity. We send kids off on track scholarships all over the country, from Division I down to junior colleges. So what a great opportunity for our kids. And that's all I have. Susan.
Is the high school putting that on, or?
Yes, the high school is putting that on, and the high school athletes will help, as well as, the coaches will be there coaching different events, and the athletes will help. So also a great opportunity for our high school athletes to interact with our younger students and encourage them to come out and try hard things.
That's good. And the play you said was Thursday?
The
Friday,
play is
Saturday?
tomorrow, Thursday and Friday at 6:30.
Okay.
Doors open at 6.
At 6:30.
Yep.
And you said the middle school?
And yep, I believe it is Spring Creek Middle School.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I have to put my glasses on. Just to go back just a little bit about the stars. First, I'd like to thank the committee for making their selections, because it's difficult. And just to remind everybody that you can make nominations at ECSD-NB.net/human/resources. We're not getting a lot of new people in there. Nobody's filling anything out. So we would love to have more people to choose from, make it more difficult. And the committee also had some good suggestions for next year. I know I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but to work on trying to get more people to nominate someone, especially not just someone at school, like a parent or even a student, trying to get the word out more. I'm not sure the word is getting out enough. So I wanted to mention that. Mr. Anderson and I are like our own road trip. We went to Montello and Ruby Valley, which was, I haven't been to Ruby Valley for a long, long time, and only once. She has a lot of students there, but it was really a lot of fun because chicks had just hatched, and I was like, wow, being a city girl, that was just really exciting for me. And the kids asked really good questions. It was good. In Montello, same thing. Gosh, they were so sweet out there too. So, and I'd never been out there. So that was, thank you for taking me along. I went to Sage Family Night where Ira was very good at scooping ice cream. He had that line down. He was fast. I love those family nights that they have just by grade level. And then today I went to breakfast and books at Mountain View. they had hoped to have the books by reading week, but it didn't happen. So they had it today, and they had the donut truck. Sorry, I got to look up the name. Nuts Under a Buck truck there. And the student fund paid for the donuts for all the kids that wanted to participate. It started around 7:30, I think, so you could come with a parent. And they were warm donut. Oh my gosh. The smell outside was, it was so yum. That smell was just incredible. I'm like, oh, if you could go home every day smelling like that. I was like, oh my gosh. And the kids loved it. And they'd go out, get their donuts with their parent, come into the gym, they had milk or water. And then they went to their classrooms to get a book, Fenway and Hattie, and the whole school got the same book. And it's a chapter book. So what they're hoping, and the teacher explained how it's going to work to the parents and the student. And then it's just to promote reading. So you'd read like a chapter with your child. And then this book actually has sequels to it. So if they really like this one, they can go on to that one. So I thought that was a really good idea. Anything to promote reading and get them excited about it is worth it for sure. And then one thing I would like to mention is Lou Basanias passed away, and she was a board member, and I always admired the work that she did. I didn't know her super well, but I did work with her under the Elko County Reads program. She was a big proponent of that. And I know she did the STARS program. I heard stories about they'd all come into a meeting when Central was at our other location, and she'd bring pizza or something for them. She just was always there, always involved. So I'd just like to say my condolences to the family.
And her service is at 2:00 on Thursday.
Oh,
for anyone
okay.
who'd like to attend.
Yeah.
At St. Joseph's in Elko.
Thank you. I will try to keep this somewhat sweet and short. Echo what most of have said about the students and the great work that our staff does in putting together these things, putting together the great clubs that we have, the sports, et cetera, and the reading events, the family events, et cetera. And I want to very strongly echo what Teresa said, in that we are not here for politics. We are not a political body, though we are elected. And an informed electorate creates a stronger democracy. So along those lines, this evening was a candidates forum that did not involve the school board. However, in about 10 days, we will have a forum. It'll be at Spring Creek High School. It's the 21st of April, starting at 5:30 for meet and greet. The forum starts at 6. I highly encourage as many people as possible to attend in person and certainly to view online. And that will be the last forum for the primary. There will be forums as well in the fall session. The Elko Area Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Committee has already selected 4 dates, and that will include the Elko Justice of the Peace and Mayor contests, the Sheriff and Assembly for the people who win on the primary there, potentially a Carlin Forum, but for our body, the school district forum is going to be October 18th. That's a Tuesday in between our two meetings. So that will also be going through there. All of us that are up for election on this board currently, and District 6, what district are you? 7. So all of us at the dais now and District 7 will all be going through to the general. None of us are on the primary, so don't worry if you get your ballots. That's intentional. That's the way it's supposed to go. The mail ballots for the October date is the 19th for in-state. That's when they start getting mailed. And the reason I bring that up is because the last forum will be on the night of the 19th. So this year, all forums will be before the in-state ballots are mailed. If you do not want to receive an in-state ballot, please contact the Elko County Clerk as soon as possible, and they can correct that so that a ballot is not mailed to you, and instead you can have the historically traditional method of voting. I think that's all I have, and thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Thank you. We will move on to our superintendent's report.
Can I
Oh,
bring
go
up
ahead.
one more thing?
Go ahead, Susan. Sorry.
That you were talking about the students and everyone being here, and it really was exciting to see their enthusiasm. And I also want to say it was exciting to hear community. You know, it was parents helping, it was teacher, it was our businesses, even Boise. I mean, it was exciting for that part too, is that we're back to some community things too. So I just kind of wanted to add that too.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Anderson.
Thanks. It's great to hear items from all the board members. Thanks for being in our schools. We're going to continue to have more recognitions. We have multiple there's too many to do at any given board meeting, so we're gonna keep getting them. And I think even as recently as this week, we got another email about a different group, and so if you liked that one, stay tuned because we got more coming, and we're just really proud of all our students. Speaking of students who do a great job, since our last board meeting, I did get to go down to Las Vegas for the state spelling bee, where we had 4 students participate in that. Just want to reiterate a congratulations to Lydia Slade from Adobe, Braxton Peterson from West Wendover Middle, Sage, and I'm not sure if I'm going to say his last name right, but Sage Comer Cartwright from Spring Creek Middle, and then Ariana Anderson from Flagview Intermediate. All 4 of them were there. They took that opportunity. They did awesome. Super proud of them, and that is not easy to do. And we've talked about them a few times, but to go compete at the state level is always pretty impressive. And so they did awesome. It was so good to see them, and it was fun to support them too. So they were great. Let's see, crossed out some other things that were already mentioned. Wrapped up this last week, not last week. We were on spring break last week. The week before that, we had we wrapped up our admin NEPF training series we've been working on within NRPDP. Just super beneficial. And the fun doesn't stop there. We've already got plans for next year, how we're going to expand that with this cohort, include opportunities for other administrators who weren't able to participate this year. And tomorrow at our admin council, our administrators will find out about other ways that we can utilize our sometimes underutilized professional development professionals to help our schools maximize what they can do. Lots of that is going to continue to be a focus for central office administrators, is to help develop the wonderful professionals we already have and to provide them the support they need to do the best we can for our kids. Last week was really slow because most people were gone. Hope all of our students, families, teachers, etc., everyone had a wonderful spring break and got a much deserved rest, whether they traveled elsewhere or stayed in their jammies at home for 7 days. Like whatever you did, I hope it was the recharge you need, and everyone super deserves that. So just couldn't be more grateful for our people who keep our schools running. Some things I've been working on, I just want you to know that the voice of Elko is being heard statewide in regards to our education needs. I've participated again with a statewide strategy team for the continuous improvement process to give our input into the SPPs that we've been working on, as well as the DPP, which is that's our school performance plan and district performance plan. Those are still, the SPP was in beta form this year, and we're continuing to take feedback. And so that this meeting was to give feedback to those people from NDE and the consulting group that is helping us develop those into a truly continuous improvement process. And we're making sure that the challenges that we faced in that are addressed so we can have a better process, and then also making sure wherever I get the chance to toot the horn of the excellent work that our administrators have done with the SPPs thus far. On a similar thread, I, along with the other superintendents in the state, provided a whole bunch of information to present to I won't be doing the presentation myself, but gave input to the Joint Interim Committee on Education for the state. And we gave them input and feedback into, again, successes, but also challenges. And when it comes to our CTE programs, our magnet programs, our English language learner supports, and our workforce-based learning opportunities that we provide our students. So not just giving them a kind of a report on what we're doing, where we sure could use some help and some funding, and just making sure that everyone, as happy as we are with the work everyone's doing, we can always use more support and more funding and more help, and making sure those needs are heard at the state level. Still forging ahead on filling vacancies, both in the schools and here at central office. We did some interviews today for our directors of human resources and director of secondary education positions, and really good candidates. When you interview, you hope it's an easy answer. As you guys know, that's not always the case. You have to deliberate, and so we're not quite there yet with the decision, but on either of those. But we had some really good applicants, and I continue to be excited about the future, because we've got great people that are willing to step up and are excited about progressing our work here. And then based on I just want to give like a happy report for the group. You have expressed many times your interest in making sure that we live up to our vision of learning for all. And over the last couple of weeks, we've confirmed a couple of partnerships that are continuing to try to reach out to all students. We reaffirmed our partnership with GBC when it comes to our construction and HVAC program for our students. And that is a partnership that we have to have with GBC in order to make that work. Otherwise, we don't have that program. And I was delighted to find out that we have like around 80 students just from Elko High School that participate in that. And we're looking for ways to expand that. There are challenges with expanding it, but we reaffirmed that partnership. And then also working with other local groups to find ways to make sure we have education opportunities and credit recovery for our students who experience attendance issues or have other struggles or things that prohibit them or make it difficult for them to graduate on time. And so looking for ways to accommodate, to provide them with opportunities and an environment where they can succeed and get caught back up so they can graduate and enjoy the benefits of taking that first step of being a high school graduate, and then the other things that follow after that. So working diligently with community members who care very much about those students. Some students get forgotten sometimes, and all of our students matter, and we want to make sure that they don't get left by the wayside because of life challenges. So working on something there. I'm being vague on purpose because I don't want to call out any type of person, but we care very much about those students, and we hope they're able to take advantage of those opportunities that we provide for them. And that is it.
All right. Any questions or guidance for Mr. Anderson? All right, we'll move on to item 6.1, which is approval of the accounts payable.
Madam Chair, move to approve the accounts payable as presented.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Julie's here for questions, but if there's no questions, then we will, any abstentions or disclosures on the accounts payable April 12th? All right, no questions. All in favor of approving the accounts payable April 12th, 2022, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and those account pay. That one's approved. I can't get it out. All right, there is one more section, which is the Wells Rural Electric accounts payable. And I will disclose that I have a family member who is employed by Wells Rural Electric, so I will also abstain. Any discussion on that one?
I move to approve the Wells Rural accounts payable April 12th.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And again, the chair abstains, but the motion carries. Item 7.1 is a final opportunity for input from the public. Is there anyone who wishes to make a comment? All right, well, thank you for sticking with us this long in the boardroom and those who are online. This meeting is adjourned. We'll see you again in a couple weeks. Thank you. Have a good night.